Tarry here, where the stories never grow old, and you hear something new every time they are told, and it comes clear. So tarry here, where it doesn't matter your age, and when we gather round the table, we all take the stage year after year. So tarry here.
Welcome to the Enlighten Radio Storytelling Hour at enlightenradio.org. I'm Fanny Crawford.
And I'm Stasio Kalski.
Today is September 8th, 2025. It's a Monday, and our topic is too much stuff.
Yay.
All
like
you
that.
have to do is look around me to validate that theme.
Oh,
How are you, Mr.
I'm just fine. I had a wonderful weekend, and it was like a two-edged, very sharp sword that, and I had no place to put it, no holder, anything. And I'll tell you why. On Friday, I went to a Fredericktown Players and like a party at one of the players' houses. And the Fredericktown Players doesn't exist anymore. It was a group of people that put on shows, and it was that we were the resident company at the Weinberg Center for many years. And so anyway, at this lady's house in Knoxville, Maryland, in her backyard, she had like a picnic, and there were 50 some people there. And it was interesting. I recognized lots of faces, didn't know any names. Almost. I knew a few names. I mean, there were people who had changed so much. I swear I could not have identified them if they came up to me and said, "I'll give you $50 if you can say my name."
Wow.
There were a number of them. Absolutely. One of the women who I knew as a coach, I knew her because she competed for her high school against my team. This is back years ago, and she had married an older man, and I attended some of their celebration about that wedding and a shower for that when they had their first baby. She came over to me, and I recognized her because she's a lot younger. Okay, I mean she's probably 40 now or something, but I knew her when she was first married at 20 or something. Anyway, she came over and hugged me and everything, and we talked for a while, and I was on my walker, so I was sitting down, and the place was in a garden, like, so I couldn't really go to many places, and we were talking, and somebody mentioned her husband and everything, and I was thinking, I don't see Dave, God, and I was going to ask about him, and I was afraid to, because I knew that he was about 20 years older than her, and I was thinking, well. But finally, somebody mentioned talking to him earlier, yeah, that day. And so I said, "Well, how's Dave doing?" She said, "Turn around and look at him." And, which was kind of interesting, that I had actually said hi to this guy, but I did not recognize him. Are we still on? I don't know what happened. Huh. Fanny? John? Ooh.
I hear you fine.
Yeah, okay. But
Fanny disconnected.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but
Was it something I said?
Heard.
Okay.
don't worry about it. It's
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Stas was talking and
Yes.
Yes.
he knows where he stopped pretty much.
Right.
All right.
Okay. So, let's see. And I don't see you anymore, Fanny.
You can't see me?
Oh, now you can. There you go.
Okay.
Okay. Man, I thought one of those assassins got you. Anyway, so I turned around and there was Sherry's husband, Dave. And I had actually said hello to him, but he did not look like anything like he looked years ago. I mean, not at all. And for me, lots of people talked to me, came up to me because I really was sitting in the garden on a small path, and there were so many people around and chairs, and I couldn't move. A number of people came up to me and right away said, "Hey, how you doing, Stan?" A lot of people called me Stan in back in the 70s, and that was before I met Terry. And anyway, I was pleased, and some of them were very nice and said, "Wow, you don't look any different." I said, "That's because I was old when we met." You know, so and anyway, we had a lovely time. Um, and on the way home from that, I said, "Boy, I didn't know if I would enjoy this so much, as much as I did." And there were some tugs at, that expression, tugs at your heartstrings. Um, Seeing people that I'd done really a lot of close stuff with, I mean, doing musicals and stuff, you get to know people real well. And anyway, a lot of stories and stuff. And then on Saturday, um, my ex-wife had a party for us, and
Wow.
and I knew about it. I knew she was, because she called me and asked me, um, about this, and said, "I'm going to invite the card players and some people used to be our friends and everything," and she had already invited her daughter, our daughter, of course, and my niece and nephew from Baltimore, and actually two nieces and their husbands from Baltimore. So anyway, that was another party, and I wound up. We were supposed to be from 1 to 4. We left here at 7:30, and that was my fault because they got me going, and I wound up telling stories,
Of
and
course you did.
and they were all stories about the family, but 3 out of the 4 other card players, guys, we played cards for 20 years every month and rotated from, wherever we were living, we would have the game. And one of them I knew immediately because we had seen each other over the years. Sometimes he and his wife and Terry and I would get together for lunch or something. But the other two, when they were at the door of the porch where I was sitting, I had to say to my daughter, "Who is this guy?" And because they had changed physically so much, they had aged, um, and that card game stopped when I moved to Arkansas, which was in 2006. So it's been 19 years, and anyway, it was very nice, but it was tough. Leaving was tough. Um, Saying goodbye to people, such close friends, but it was very nice, and I was very kind of, of my ex-wife. At one point, Terry and Rita were walking together out, like in the grass in the garden, and looking at things and everything. And I said to my daughter, "Get a picture of that, please." Because they get along very well. They're good friends, and which is nice. Anyway, this whole week has been a repeat in person of what I talked about on the radio, about saying goodbye, and how, um, so, and not be, I won't be glad never to see those people. However, I will be glad when we get to Salt Lake City, and I won't have to face that goodbye stuff anymore.
No.
Even though it's still with me, and in spite of my sometimes mouthy stuff, I am basically a real softie. So, but we are as close to being packed as you can be without walking around with nothing on or something like that. I mean, there's
I'm very impressed with how efficient and timely and together you guys are.
well, and yesterday Terry and I packed the witch's kitchen, which is gone from the wall. It's we packed it in big styrofoam boards, and the painting, and it's now in the garage waiting to be loaded on Thursday into the pod.
Wow.
So,
Thursday's the big day.
oh yeah. Yeah, we have a hotel room for Thursday night because our house will be empty.
Right.
There'll be nothing to sleep on.
Oh my, oh my.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I'm getting teary-eyed.
Oh,
Okay. Do you want to
luckily, you and I will see each other every week.
Yeah, but it won't be the same.
Well, but you know what's really comforting in a way. This is freaky, but it's freaky also because I'm looking at the bookcases that I've looked at for years.
I know, isn't it wonderful? I am having such a good time. I'm going to talk about that.
Good. Okay.
Okay. Do you want to do your last speak?
Oh, yeah.
This evening?
Okay. Talk for a minute. I've got to look up something. I've got to look at a picture.
Justin Perez, is that his name?
Let's see.
I think his name is Justin Perez.
Yeah, and well, I'm looking for what
his description.
Well, I was looking for a description of the thing. But I'll just, I'll do the short version because I've got so many things I've been getting from people over and over. Oh no, here it is. Look at that. Somebody's watching over me. Justin Perez, Tuesday, September 9th, 7:30 p.m. in Shepherdstown at the Presbyterian Church on 100 West Washington Street. And Justin Perez is a incredible storyteller who he has an unwavering love for the American Sign Language. He is a deaf storyteller, and he does an incredible thing called visual vernacular workshops, and they are captivating performances. And he will be there on Tuesday evening and it begins at 7:30. And you can go to speakstoryseries.com and get all the information, all the details, directions to the place. And also you get a chance, if you want to, buy a season ticket, though season's getting closer to the end. But there are still a number of performances coming up. And have the opportunity to sponsor a storytelling event or just donate some money because it costs a lot of money to run these things. And so that's tomorrow, the 9th of September.
I will be there. I'm
Oh,
looking forward to
so-
it. That sounds fascinating.
All right.
We should start because we're already
Okay.
10 minutes in.
How much?
10 minutes, I think.
10 minutes. Okay. I wouldn't doubt it. I never doubt what you say.
More than 10 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Um,
yeah.
Okay, well, do you want to start with a story? Or
Sure.
actually, I can talk about stories in the round. I just want everybody to know
Yes.
that 4 members of the National Association for Black Storytellers is coming to Stories in the Round on Monday, September 29th, 7 p.m. to do a series of stories, everything from historical portrayals to folk tales, little bit of music. And this is a fundraiser to replace 2 National Endowment for the Arts contracts that were canceled by the White House, downsizing, taking away all diversity funding. So these are were grants that have been years and years and years support for the National Association of Black Storytellers annual conference and festival, which hundreds and hundreds of people attend. This year it's in Atlanta, and those grants would have funded the youth program for that conference and the Adopt a Teller program, which sends tellers out into the schools in Atlanta, and is the funding for many tellers who come to the conference who otherwise could not afford to come, but because they're paid to go out into the schools, that's what funds their participation. And those grants are gone. So we are fundraising to replace that money. The conference will go on and those projects will be ongoing, but we have to fund them. So we're doing a fundraiser that night. Instead of the money going to the tellers, as is usual at Stories in the Round, it will go to the National Association. And the 4 tellers are all from the National Association. And I'm really looking forward to our audience hearing them for the first time. They are Karen Birdnell, your good friend, Stosh.
Yes. And
the
please,
librarian friend.
that night, please tell her that I'm
I
sorry that I happened to be in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Well, she wanted me to tell you, to tell Stan. She wanted me
Right.
to tell Stan that she was thinking of you and wished you
Right.
well.
Yeah.
The other 3 tellers are Bunjo Butler, who is a wonderful, wonderful teller, and a hoot, just a really funny guy. And Gordon Surah Parks, who's going to tell a saga of his trip to Africa and what he learned there. And Martha Ruff, who is one of the founding members of the Griot Circle and NABS. So they will all be there on Monday, the 29th. And if people want information, how to get tickets, etc., 301-730-1638 is my phone number, or Fanitsky, FANITSKY @hotmail.com. On to the storytelling, Mr. Z.
Yes. And I really am sorry that I'm going to miss that because I always enjoy seeing them. And maybe in the future you'll start doing some Zooming stuff.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Well, I don't know how much trouble that is to do. But
Well,
I
it
did.
requires a technician. I need somebody who will come and do that.
And actually it can't be too hard because for 2 years, almost 2 years, I did storytelling for a group that I used to go to up in
I remember.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I remember.
And I did it by Zoom.
Mhm.
And
But somebody had to manage it. There was a technician who was doing that.
but I was the one who initiated it in my kitchen.
Yeah, but that's different than speaking, than having it live and on Zoom. That's a
Well,
whole different ballgame.
I don't know. I don't know how, I remember anyway, signing up for Zoom and all that stuff, and all I did was push some buttons and then I was telling.
Yeah,
So,
but you didn't also have to make it comfortable for the audience in
no.
front of you, the live audience.
Well, I don't know how it happened,
Okay.
tell you the truth.
I'm
But
not promising that.
no, okay.
Okay.
Well, anyway,
Tell us the story.
I will. I love the title of our show today, Too Much Stuff. Um, and by the way, when I went to the meet, both of those, I told you a little bit about the parties. I did give out some of business cards
Oh, good.
that have tall tales, the
Mhm.
thing on.
Yeah.
So, and I told people, one of them that you may know and I even shared how I knew your husband with this person, who I spent most of the Friday um, thing with. This tall man came over to me. I was sitting up in a chair on my walker, actually. And he came over and said, "How you doing?" And I looked up, and it was Ted Luck.
Oh, well, I know the name, but I don't
Yes.
know him personally.
Well, I know him personally, and I got to I worked for him. Um, he was in charge of its academic program and a
Mhm.
bunch of other programs,
Mhm.
you know. And when Russell Beaton stopped being the MC for that program, he asked me to do it, and Ted Luck approved me. And so for 4 years, I was the MC for its academic program. And that meant that I got paid to do something that I just absolutely loved. Um, and also it meant I had to stop coaching a team, because I coached Frederick High School's team, me and another teacher. And um, so Frederick High School won that tournament, and the very next year is when I became the MC. And so for 4 years, I got to gather all the questions on a Monday and get it all ready for a Friday night. And then I would do with 9 schools, 9 teams on a Friday night. I would do the questions and all that business, and
Mhm.
did the tournament. And that tournament that went on for about 10 or 12 weeks, and then a championship. And it was just a wonderful job. Ted was the man in charge of that. And he also did a wonderful thing for me and my wife once. And now that he's retired, I don't think he'd get in trouble for this. He'd never get in trouble. He was a supervisor of things, but he once asked me if I would tell some stories to an evening college class that he was teaching. And I said, sure, I'd love to. So I went to the class and I entertained for about 45 minutes and then answered questions for another half an hour or so. And because I did that, I had talked about to him, and he said, he mentioned something about, um, what can I do for you for how much do you charge for doing? I said, I'm not going to charge you anything. Like, it was fun and everything. He said, but well, if there's ever anything I can do to help, repay you, it was very kind of you to do this. And I said, you know what? I said, how about, can you arrange for my wife and I to have substitute teachers? We were both teaching in Frederick County, to have a substitute teacher, for us, because we were going to the National Storytelling Festival, and we have to leave on a Thursday, and we won't be back until Monday evening. And so, I said, He said, "Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it." He did that for 2 years. He got substitutes so Terry and I could leave on a Thursday, go to the National Storytelling Festival for the weekend, come home on Monday evening, and we didn't have to worry about our classes, and we didn't have to worry about our schools getting substitute for it. Mr. Luck took care of it, so it was very nice. And we spent a long time Friday reminiscing about all kind of things. While we were, he was sharing with me that he's doing a lot of artwork in his, he's partially retired, not 100%, but he's doing artwork, and he shared with me some of the pictures that he's done. And I mentioned, I wonder, do you know Jose Rosa Pepe?
Mhm.
And he said, of course. And I said, well, you
I will
two
pass
should,
that on.
I said, you two should sit down and have a talk. Because I said, he's a wonderful artist and everything. I managed to show Ted a couple of things I have on my phone and of Jose's. And anyway, it was a great thing to be able to mention Jose. And I figured they must know each other because I knew Jose was an important part of Frederick County in the school system.
We each have about 17 minutes for our stories.
Okay, well, I just finished one of them.
That was your story?
No. I'm sorry. Okay, here you go. Too much stuff. Getting ready for our move. My wife has been like a whirling dervish. One of those people just goes around, gets things done. But one of the things she did was she set me down in front of boxes of stuff that I had collected over the years. And some things that I didn't even realize I had, and provided me with a trash container, a comfortable seat, something to drink. And I went through, it wound up to be a total of about 5 boxes of things, stuff from shows that I had been in, theatrical productions, storytelling events. I even had some lesson plans from when I was teaching, and I retired in 2006. That was the last year I was in a classroom, any place, in my 40th year, and it was incredible. The first box took probably longer than any other 2 boxes, or maybe even longer than 3 boxes, because everything I picked up, and my wife was busy doing stuff in the house and packing up all kind of things. But I would pick up a paper and say, "Oh yeah, I remember this," and then I would read it, and I would think, "Oh, I've got to probably throw this away." Excuse me, Terry. Okay, there was a noise in our house. Okay, so it would be like, oh man, I hate to throw this away. But every once in a while, Terry would appear in the doorway and say, "How you doing?" And she was noticing that the throwaway pile was not growing very much. And she just reminded me that, I should enjoy myself and relive some of the past through those papers. But it was really a good idea to think about which ones. And so anyway, I did make a couple of piles. One for the person who was helping me edit a novel that we're working on, and one for my daughter, and one for a niece. Things that I knew they might like to have, say things that apply to the family and stuff. And believe it or not, I was able to get those boxes down to two. And but some of the things I gave away were, I mean, I didn't give away, I threw away, were like, oh man, I hate to throw away, like the playbill from the show I did, and it brought back such memories when I was looking at it. But finally, I got to a point where I realized that no, this is, and it reminded me of when I stopped teaching at different schools and had to clean out my closet and my desk. And of course, that sent me down a whole another road. But it was amazing to have things and to look at them and think, why did I keep this? There were, a belt. There was a belt. Why did they, and cufflinks. Well, and it was things that I wore as costumes, and and I have since that couple of long days. Every once in a while, I say to my wife, "Have you seen?" And then I supply the thing I thought I had saved, and she'd say, "Uh, I believe that went into the box that I took out to trash, last week." And so and luckily she did not get rid of my couple of my prized possessions, which one is my uh, shirt and collar and slacks that I worn when I pretended to be a priest on stage, and also once when I took an airplane trip across the country as a priest in order to see what it would feel like. And
Great
and was
story.
it
Great
was
story.
God, that was a wonderful experience. And I talked that on the air, I know, and that ended with me dashing out of the plane and getting into the first men's room and changing out of the priest outfit and putting on jeans and a jacket because it
You
was
learned your lesson.
it was really a wonderful experience. I had in my life, as Stash and Stanislaus and all that, I had never been treated with such respect as that. Um, I felt like some kind of Olympic hero or the savior of the world or something. People were so polite to me. Um, anyway, he assured me that my Roman collar and my clothes if I wanted to pretend to be a priest out in Salt Lake City, I still have that. And even my Santa Claus suit, she made sure that went into a nice travel bag because I haven't done it in many years, but I thought the occasion might show up that I could put on my Santa Claus suit. I still have a beard and I still know how to say ho ho ho.
I can envision that right now.
Yeah, and so the place we're going to, I think it might be, might be a nice idea. We're going to a senior living facility, and they do lots of activities. So who knows? Maybe they would like to have Santa sometime and not have to pay him. So anyway, um, mostly what I wanted to say about too much stuff was the boxes and the pictures and the things.
How many boxes?
Well, I had 5 storage boxes that I reduced down to 2 smaller ones, which I was glad of, and some things gave away. I mean, threw away. Keep saying gave away. I threw away, and there was probably a box worth of materials that I passed on to my daughter and my niece and um, another relative. So, I did manage to get rid of a lot of stuff. And one of the things I like about our topic, stuff, too much stuff, is when I taught chemistry, I used to often refer to today we're going to learn about different kinds of stuff. So, and it's easy. We're going to talk and use chemical terms, but it's all just stuff. And the kids are like that. They used to, you know, they would joke about it. I've met students over the years who would say, "Are you still talking about all that stuff?" You know, stuff is a great word for it because it covers a multitude of things, you know.
Yeah, it is a
Right.
good word.
Yeah.
It's a sensitive topic for me, but it's a good
Oh, well,
word.
sure. You know, it is. So that's my story about the boxes of stuff
That's
that I
good.
managed to get rid of most of it.
I hope Terry took some pictures of you sorting your stuff.
I don't know. Lately, she's been taking pictures of me.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to
So,
segue right into my story
okay.
because I don't want to run over time.
And I will time it for you.
Thank you. So this is a halfway story. I'm still in the middle of living this tale, so I cannot be sure how it will end. But it seems important to record this chapter that I'm now in so I don't lose the action and flow as it carries me along. So chapter 1 is about recognizing my need to stop collecting. Collecting what? You may well ask. Well, that's easy. Collecting everything. Life experiences, friends, clothes, books, most visibly and most often, books. Marie Kondo, who's the author of The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, the Japanese art of decluttering and organizing, points out, quote, people with large book collections are almost always diligent learners. I love that. Fanny Crawford says, people with large book collections often have memory problems and read and reread the same words over and over in order to remember them.
Mm.
So today's rambling radio story starts with a bit of personal history and a couple of lists. So bear with me here. We really are going somewhere. There will be a semblance of a story arc or a plot. Personal history fact 1. I never met a book I didn't want to start reading. That doesn't mean I wanted to finish it or even read more than a page or two, but I always want to see where it's going and what is the point of the story or the narrative, the poem, the textbook. It doesn't matter the content. I want to get at least a little insight into what's within the covers. Personal history fact 2. At the end of her life, my mother single-handedly sorted, boxed up, divested, downsized the last 2 homes she lived in and shared with my dad. Let me repeat that. Twice, almost entirely on her own, with minimal help from me and my brother, she prepared for a major life move. There were other moves, of course, at other stages of her life, but for these 2, she was in her last decades, and my dad was well into dementia. Before retirement, Mom was a university archivist. My dad was running a couple of bookstores. After retirement, they started a book business out of their large 6-room first-floor flat with complete access to the full basement of the 5-unit apartment building they owned. So when my dad was 87, already diagnosed with dementia, and Mom was 82, between the apartment they lived in and the basement, they had significantly more than 20,000 books. At that point, Mom found a retirement community they liked, put their apartment building on the market, and then divested of about 2/3 of the books to universities, to public libraries, to private book dealers, and even to community organizations that were shipping some of the books to third world countries who were requesting reading materials. Once the building was sold, she packed up their apartment and carried the rest of the books to their new home. I helped with no more than a week of packing and brought home maybe 2,500 books to my house. The next heroic divestiture of Mom's senior years came about a decade after their move to the retirement home. My dad died 2 years after they moved there, but she continued her active lifestyle as a community volunteer and kept up with a lot of friends till she realized she was entering what some gerontologists call the gray zone of incapacity. As her energy and attention to detail declined, she focused on emptying file cabinets, closets, storage areas, and turning over financial and housekeeping responsibilities to others. I was often there helping, but I lived a 3-hour car ride away, and I was struck with how stressful these personal management responsibilities could be with fading energy and time. My brother lives in California, so he was much less involved with the housekeeping piece and the packing, but he was the executor of her will, so he had his share of the workload. My next educational foray into the joy of downsizing on a personal level, watching other people's personal level, came 2 years after my mother died, when I started helping a good friend empty his house sometime after his wife passed. She had a long, lingering illness, and her major pastime while bedridden was to browse the internet and order things online. And she once said, in all seriousness, "I just want one of everything." And since she had the money to approximate some version of that, indeed, that is what happened. For the last 3 months of her life, crates and boxes filled with the things she ordered via the internet were delivered 3 or 4 times a week and rarely opened. After she died, I began what became a 3-year commitment to this household to help clean and divest that house of her collections. Dozens of dolls, doll clothes, fashion plate clothing for herself from top-notch haberdashers, knitting and crochet and crewel yarns, hundreds of skeins and textures of cotton and silk embroidery thread, paint by number kits, dozens of Lego sets, including a $3,000 Taj Mahal and a similarly priced Lego nearly full-size Volkswagen Beetle kit, both of which were never assembled, and books, and books, and books, etc., 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 so much more. All those boxes were stacked unopened in many of the rooms of their 11-room house. They'd been living in just 3 rooms. The rest were full of beautiful collections of china, clothing, craft supplies, completed textile projects she finished while she was still healthy. But there were whole rooms piled to the ceiling with the unopened boxes, filled with everything she ordered from her sickbed. For me, these end-of-life experiences of people I knew well and up close were an education for me in the stressful extremes of too much stuff, or more kindly, what I like to call the simple overstocking of your favorite things. Author Marie Kondo, the queen of finding joy in reducing clutter and keeping faith with what truly matters, writes, quote, "The space in which we live is for the person we are becoming now, not for the person we were in the past. unquote. On the question of how many books, Marie Kondo advised, asking, which books changed your life and feel like close friends? Margareta Magnusson, the popularizer of Swedish death cleaning, says, remove excess and focus on what is important. So how much is excess? How much is too much? Some lists of too much. When we, Jose and I, moved to this house more than a decade ago, we brought with us more than 4,000 books. It's been a long time coming, but the numbers are decreasing, though I am still unpacking treasured volumes packed in Xerox boxes way back then. I estimate we have shelf space now for approximately 2,100 books total. If and when we downsize to a smaller living space, we'll probably need to divest further. I've started the downsizing process of this household with the books, probably because it's my favorite category. But both authors, Margareta Magnusson and Marie Kondo, recommend starting with clothing. And there are 3 closets here filled with my personal clothing, including outdoor winter wear, storytelling costumes, Alice in Wonderland, 2 suits of black winter wool and tan summer linen for portraying my great-grandfather, T.H. Barnes, 2 of my dad's jackets and hats for presenting his slideshows, my mother's dresses and blouses when I'm portraying her, and ensembles for 2 of the 3 plays I performed under the direction of theater director, our own Mr. Z, aka Stosh Silkowski. That would be Mark Twain's Adam and Eve and Love Stories by A.R. Gurney. For the 3rd offering, the 3rd play, The Guys, we wore our street clothes. 6 giant rectangular plastic bins in the basement contain off-season clothing. All but one of those bins is mine. Other current collections inside this house include 16 file drawers filled with folders from 3 different long-term jobs and 9 Xerox boxes, 3 each for my mother's files from her cabinets, my dad's files, and my daughter's financial and medical records. 7 briefcases or tote bags and additional plastic crates are required for the number of different universes I currently inhabit. My health group, TOPS. Carroll Creek Toastmasters, storytelling, including Stories in the Round, the League of Women Voters, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Hagerstown, my daughter Rachel and her apartment, 3 separate collections of family history, the Barnes Crawford family on my dad's side, shared space for the Wexner and Rosapep families, and my least favorite universe of stuff, finance, and medical records. Music on 78s and 33.5 RPM vinyl albums in 4 Xerox boxes, plus 75 music and storytelling CDs and a few cassette tapes. In the kitchen, 12 shelves of dishware, china, glassware, including heirlooms, and 5 shelves of pots, pans, and cookware, much of it my dad, the professional and family cook. Those were his stuff. In the kitchen, in the guest room, my so-called office, a sewing machine, 4 dresser drawers of sewing supplies, and below decks in the basement, 12 large plastic bins filled with fabric and sewing projects, including 2 big quilts in process and several smaller ones. 2 refrigerators with freezer units in the kitchen and 2-car garage need a good cleaning and reorganization, those units do. And I'm pondering a set of small bins to hold the regular rotation of frozen vegetables we try to keep stocked. Frozen vegetables are tricky to inventory, organize, search, retrieve, and find quickly. 2 bins are filled with seasonal decorations for spring and fall holidays, equinoxes, Easter, Halloween, Indigenous Peoples' Day / Thanksgiving, depending on who's coming to dinner. Lost my place. Sorry. Then Christmas, Hanukkah, and New Year celebrations. Most are handmade, the stuff in that bins, or handed down from our birth families. But I think I'm ready to divest us of almost all of that and focus instead on gathering decorations from the natural world each season. 3 dresser drawers of office supplies and stationery seem far out of proportion to the number of birthday condolence and holiday cards I managed to trickle out via the post office. There are 4 Xerox boxes of art supplies, sketch pads, crayons, flat canvas boards, pastel chalk sets, watercolors, oil and acrylic paints, inks and pens, markers, brushes, often thought of wistfully but seldom used, and a wood-burning tool. Gardening and yard tools and supplies, a potting table, and a rotating stack of flower pots from tiny to enormous, most used regularly, also take significant place in the garage. I've been promising since we bought a new car a year ago to fit that into that space. A few dolls, but 5 different puppets: dog, cat, Tigger, Shari Lewis's lamb chop, a brown fuzzy monster, and a group of finger puppets, all once used for storytelling events, but not for decades. 2 bins of gift wrap and ribbon, furniture. Our daughter has been decorating and upgrading her apartment. It's been a real joy to see her interested, even excited, receiving some pieces of furniture from us as I work on divesting and downsizing. It's much easier to part with pieces I've grown to love and enjoy over many years, knowing they will have another life extension with her. 12 Xerox boxes of photo albums covering approximately 1880 through 2010, when everything went digital. I hope to dismantle those collections and save the photos digitally. Margarita Magnuson says, leave photographs till the end of each dostadning, Swedish death cleaning downsizing cycle, as they are the most time-consuming, technically challenging, and emotionally charged. These collections, many of which I find myself woefully attached to, are a burden. My goal for this labor of love is to reduce the contents of our house to half the current volume. That's the minimum for just getting rid of clutter. When and if we move, it may be necessary to reduce again by half. The plan: research alternate living quarters, reduce our worldly goods by half over 6 to 8 months, and then choose an alternate living space or decide to hunker down here with hired help and family to assist. But how much is enough? Truth number 1, I have too many collections, but the first of these is books, too many books. Truth number 2, my 4 simplest book categories: those I read in the past and I'm attached to, pulling them out periodically to quote from them or simply to remember the feeling of the first read. Category 2, the 520 books I hope to read at the rate of 1 a week for the next 10 years. 3. The books I consider reference books and probably will never read to cover, but seem to warrant regular attention. All the rest, the final category, the ones I'm willing to part with as I convince myself they simply won't be read by me in this lifetime, so I hope I can gift them to friends and family. Some would call me a hopeless dreamer with my head in the clouds. And truth number 3, arguably my most important category of books, is books I want to gift to the people in my life. That's it. The record, chapter 1 of my too much stuff.
19 minutes.
Wow. I must have taken some stuff out. That's good. 23 minutes when I read it through this morning.
Well, you had a couple of pauses there.
Yeah, so it was
And at one time on the pause, I thought you were going to say, I can't do this. I just can't do this. Leave me alone.
I could have done that.
You
That's good
look
feedback.
seriously like you were considering making a statement that was going to say, I'm done. It says, I'm not doing this.
That's funny.
And I'm glad you didn't do it. But that it was very interesting.
Yeah,
I'm glad I have known you for a good while,
before
because
hearing that story.
if that was I mean, if that was a true original story that for a person I didn't know, I was thinking of making a list of stuff to say about that person, and then I decided, no, I can't put that down on paper. That's not nice. Wow.
Yeah. And I read the story out loud to Jose before
Yeah.
we got on air, and he reminded me of several other collections.
And it is amazing. Oh boy. You should put that into a
I should send it to the Frederick News Post or somewhere where they don't know me.
yeah, because I was thinking of the story of a man who burned down his house
Yeah, that's right.
and
There, I
and was
remember that.
sitting in the yard in his chair saying, something like, I told my wife she had to start getting rid of some stuff.
Well, Stash, we told John Case that we'd be off the air a minute ago. So
Well,
I'm Fanny Crawford.
okay, and I'm Stasio Kowski. It's actually just 10:54.
Yeah, but he wanted us out by 10:55.
Right, I know we still have about 45 seconds.
This is the Enlighten Radio Storytelling Hour at enlightenradio.org, your independent community radio station broadcasting from Bolivar, West Virginia, Martinsburg, West Virginia, and Hagerstown, Maryland. It's been fun. This will be our Stash and my last program together in this region. After this, Stash will be coming on Zoom from the other end of the country. But we will continue offering you, our listeners, a window into the world of storytelling by traditional and non-traditional tellers. And I'm guessing if you stay tuned, listeners, John Case will continue radio broadcasting, even though he's not visible to us at this moment and has probably left the studio.
Could be.
Yes.
Could
Okay.
be.
All right, Stash, I'll be talking to you.
Okay, thanks. It was great, boy. What a great story that was.
Well, you had those wonderful reminiscences about those people, some of whom I know.
Oh, yeah. And just that, I think you should definitely do something with that story.
Well, I'll just keep telling it as the chapters progress. I'm
Yes.
only at the beginning. No doubt I'm going to find new vicissitudes. Okay.
Okay. Take care. I'm gonna sign off.
Okay. I'll talk to you before Thursday.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
What was your story?
It was about too much stuff.
Mhm.
She made a list of